Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another review of the situation going on with Kanye West, Donda, and Drake's Certified Lover Boy, hereafter Donda and CLB. So, this has really come to a head for the past decade or so. Usually, fans of either of these artists are fans of the other artist, but since Drake has gone kind of more mainstream these days with Kanye's kind of controversies, Drake has become, they've kind of switched places from Drake being that Canadian self-made kind of rapping protege of Lil Wayne, whereas Kanye was that producer turned rapper, forcing himself into the industry, getting co-signed by Jay. So it's kind of like the second comings of Jay and Lil Wayne. Not really competing each other for a while because Kanye was a bit ahead, maybe 5 years or so, longer in the game than Drake. But they definitely had that emotive, iconoclastic, kind of different from the pack type of vibe going for both of them their whole time, right? It was Kanye with the pink polo and then Drake with the he didn't really invent the black hearts on the cardigan, but that was a pretty big line from his first album or mixtape. Anyways, so they drop projects a week apart, lots of kind of bullshit drama surrounding it, mainly for hype and relevancy. But the common rhetoric is that Donda was kind of an experience, whereas CLB was kind of more of the same, or at least more of a generic kind of album, even though I think most people agree it's at least pretty good for a Drake project. I think a lot of the memes of it being mid are just kind of people getting a little bit too excited and rallying for Kanye. And I think another thing that really impacts how people receive these two artists is hometown favor. I'm from Toronto, so a lot of Toronto people that I know really rock with Drake. And then there's also kind of the politics of it. Drake has stayed absent and Kanye's said some reckless shit, which I understand, especially with kind of, platforming DaBaby and Marilyn Manson. I can understand that angle for wanting Kanye to lose. But we're talking about art, right? We're talking about music. So all that stuff shouldn't really be relevant. You can preface your review with saying, okay, well, I can't support him because of X, Y, and Z, and therefore I think Drake's album is better. But then any reasonable person should just discard your opinion, right? But the projects are both really good, in my opinion, for both artists. Probably not either of theirs best or even top three, but I think Donda really was an experience, and CLB is kind of the best I've heard Drake in an album format in I want to say like 5-6 years. Like, I think it's better than Views. I think the peaks of Views and More Life, what else is there, Scorpion, like some of those albums have really big hit singles, but in general they were too slow for me. They lacked energy, like presence. But this album really has flow through it. It has a good mix of what Drake's known for, his pretty strong bars and references, and meme stuff as well, and it has a lot of that R&B flavor too. But Donda was like, I had the privilege of listening to it in a car ride that was about like 2.5 hours or so. So me and my girlfriend listened to it front to the end. And it was like a nice day and everything, so we were like pretty hyped, and we went into it with an open mind for sure, and we definitely wanted to like it. But I think other people, it's pretty rare to have an hour and 45, an hour and 48 minutes now to listen to an album front to back, especially something that isn't so kind of high energy all the time, because I can definitely see people kind of skipping or falling asleep during the album if they're not really present for it and intentionally listening to it, which a lot of my friends have talked about. But CLB also is a pretty long album, but I got through it in one go. It was a lot of memorable bars, a lot of references, and some good kind of variation and good features as well. But it just didn't hit the same as Donda. Donda was really like a self-contained piece of music that you really have to listen start to end. And I would argue, unlike most other albums, I would probably listen to Donda as an album going forward. Like, I prefer to listen to it in its entirety than piecemeal, besides like some of the really big songs like Jail and Jesus Lord and Off the Grid, of course. But Drake's, I'll probably listen to maybe 6, 7 tracks off of it, which is pretty high for a Drake project for me. But I'm kind of going a little bit besides the point now. I think I'm validating the common rhetoric of Donda being an experience as a little bit more of a adventurous, progressive next step in his career than Drake's album, which I think is a solid return to form, kind of like Take Care era-ish. So I really think it's one of his best projects, maybe top 5. But it wasn't that new, which is what a lot of people are saying. It's the same old, same old. I don't think so. I think it's a lot different than Scorpion. I think it's a lot different than Views and More Life. But I do think that we've seen this parts of Drake before. We haven't seen it to this high standards, I think. I think he's, in terms of quality, he's doing what he is known to do quite well on this album. But it's not something completely new. And I do have to say, I didn't listen to Jesus is King or the other gospel album by Kanye. So maybe a lot of this stuff is just a fusion of some of the things he's done before. But I really think this is like a T-Lop type pivot. And I really did enjoy Ye. I really enjoyed Kitsy, Ghosts. But Ye was kind of like an experiment or an experience like Donda, but it was a kind of one and done. I listened to it once through, and it was a beautiful kind of commentary on his mental health, his introspection. But now I kind of just listen to Premeditated Murder or whatever it's called now. I don't really even listen to Yikes anymore. But it really was a piece of art that was self-contained. But Donda is something that you can really revisit. It shows the growth from that era and has some themes from that, and what I gather, some themes from Jesus is King too. And ultimately, I think they're both really kind of approaching high watermark work for both artists. I think Donda was a much better piece of art and piece of music holistically. I think Drake's songs are going to be played more and earn more money for sure. And maybe I'm a little bit out of touch at this point because I am almost getting into the 30s. So there's merit to letting the public think what it wants and that becoming the canon of what's better or what's not. It's just my opinion. But I think that's my rationale for why I think Donda's a little bit better than CLB, but both albums are pretty strong work for both artists. So let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you for more music content in the future. This has been Malabar, and we are signing out.